They want me to send them pictures of the cash. I send them pictures of the cash. Then they want me to wrap it up. This is where I should have said, what the heck is going on? Wanted me to wrap it up in aluminum foil so it can't be scanned. My friend told me that.
How much cash are we talking about?
$9,000.
$9,000.
$9,000 of my hard-earned money.
Well, fraud happens every day, and good people are getting swindled out of their money at an alarming rate. On the True Fraud podcast, I sit down with victims of fraud and listen to their story. Then I chat with experts to analyze what happened, talk through the red flags, and leave you with tips and tricks to avoid getting scammed yourself. I'm your host, Billy, and this is True Fraud, Real Stories, Expert Advice, brought to you by Pacific Crest Federal Credit Union. Well, welcome to the True Fraud Podcast, Real Stories, Expert Advice. My guest today is Kathy. Do you want to introduce yourself, Kathy?
Yes, my name is Kathy Delgado. I'm the branch manager for Alturas, California branch.
At Pacific Crest.
At Pacific Crest, yes.
Yeah. So this podcast is all about listening to true fraud stories and then talking about what happened, you know? So we have this really cool red flag system. So if in the course of the interview, you hear something that's a red flag, like people should know about this. And, this is something to watch out for. You can raise your red flag and then we'll talk about it at the end of the episode. So this one's really fun. We're going to listen to an interview that I did with Lily a few weeks ago. Lily is a member that actually comes into your branch. And so this happened at your branch. Lily is not her real name, by the way. We changed her name. This is one of those unfortunate times where she listened to somebody on the phone, and so we're gonna listen to her story, and then we're going to talk about it afterwards. So let's go ahead and listen to Lily's story.
Which one to talk about?
Okay. Well, So tell me a little bit about yourself.
I live in rural California, in the middle of nowhere, small town. About 2,500 people in the city and then 10,000 in the county. I am a special needs mom of a 23-year-old daughter. She has moya, which is a lack of flow to the brain in the back of your head. But she's had surgery to clear it, so she has an intellectual disability. She can talk, but not a lot of words. Yeah, she's been through a lot. The brain problems was when she was almost 5 years old when we found out she had a stroke. First, they thought it was seizures, and then they found out, no, she's had a stroke. So she was in the hospital for 5 days in ICU.
This is not easy on a family.
No, it's not. And not when this happened. It was more stress on me than I thought it would ever be. So my daughter has an iPad, and on the iPad, it had an alert. Not to do anything with the iPad or anything. So I called the number. And I got the feeling when I called the number, I was like, no, and I hung up. Well, they called me back. And they told me they were from tech, and they was going to help me walk through the problem of getting the alert off her iPad and everything. And that's where it began.
So notification came up, and you called the number, but then you hung up.
Yeah, and then they called me back.
Yeah. Why'd you hang up?
I just had that feeling like, no, this ain't right, because of the way they answered the phone. And I mean, they kept me on the phone all day pretty much to keep me occupied and not let me talk to anybody else. They're telling me that there's this charge coming up and I need to go to the bank and get my money out and send it in because, they're thinking that people at the bank are the ones doing the money stealing.
That's you.
And I'm thinking, oh, Lord, I don't need this. That's my money in my account. So they told me to go to the bank. The young lady at the bank did her job and asked me, what I wanted the money for because it was a lot of money coming out. And, of course, they tell you on the phone, well, don't tell them what you want that money
that's
for.
A big one.
So I lied to her.
How much cash are we talking about?
$9,000.
$9,000.
$9,000 of my hard-earned money that I saved to, support me and my kid. So I took my money out. I took it home. They want me to send them pictures of the cash. I sent them pictures of the cash because they're going to send it and put it in a special account until the charge clears. That way they don't take the money out of my account. I have to take pictures. Then they want me to wrap it up. This is where I should have said, what the heck is going on? Wanted me to wrap it up in aluminum foil so it can't be scanned. My friend told me that, so it can't be scanned when it went through the scanner. And I also put a couple toys in it to make it look like it was a gift. They had me wrap the box like it was a present. And dummy me did all that, took pictures and showed them and everything. Good thing the UPS drop I went to, they wasn't picking up anymore for the day. Since we live in a little town, I had to go over the mountain to another community and use that UPS. Well, no more deliveries were going out that day or no more pickups. So I went home after I dropped my box off. They wanted me to send them a picture of the receipt and everything. I did that, and I got home and I'm talking to my mom, and my mom's like, no, that don't sound right. And she had talked to my brother about it too, and he was the same, that don't sound right. So I call? I think I call. And they tell me, no, there's no charges coming off your account. So I'm like...
So you called the credit union at that point?
Yes, I called the credit union. And they told me, no, there's no charges coming off my account. And I'm thinking, you're such a dummy. You just left a lot of money at the UPS store to ship out to somebody you don't even know. So I had gotten home, and coming home, it's like 30, 45 minutes to get back from where I was. So I turned around and went back over the mountain and went back to the UPS store. Good thing it's attached to a restaurant, and she gave me my box back.
Boy,
Lucky.
okay, so
Yeah.
Crazy.
right, yeah. After you're talking about it later,
Yeah.
I'm sure you just keep thinking, why?
Why was I such a fool to believe somebody that quick? And normally, I'm not. But, my daughter's laptop, and I'm thinking, okay, she did something, but she didn't. It was the scammer that got me with just that notification. And you know what else they do? So when they found out I picked up that box, they called me acting like they were from the UPS store. So they spoofed the number, and the number comes up of the place where I dropped it off and everything, and they're questioning me on where this package is. I told them I picked it back up. And I told them, you wasn't getting my money. And I hung up on them.
Did you report it to anybody?
I called the sheriff, and I reported it to them. And, of course, I reported it to the bank. And the sheriff had told me, that this has happened to other people, except other people have sent their money out.
So thankfully, UPS hadn't been by to pick up
It
from
was
the
on
store.
it was on a weekend too. It was on a Friday, so they wouldn't have been back till Monday. It was a blessing, but a curse on the same day. It ended up better than it started. So she took care of me, and I was thankful that she did that for me.
And it all started from a notification.
On my daughter's iPad.
Yeah. Well, thank heavens that you got your money back. Thank you again for coming in and
You're
sharing
welcome.
your whole story. So,
All right.
Wow.
Well, how many red flags did you hear?
At least 6 of them.
So what did you think? First impression?
So it's very common that we hear this, more being in the front line. A lot of people come in and say, oh, I got a funky call. I'm a little iffy about it. Is this legit? Sometimes it's too late and they've already done exactly as she did and put the money in the mail.
Yeah.
So I think it's not uncommon, and more they're getting, they're better at what they do, and they're more convincing. And
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm really curious what you think about this. It seemed like, she got this call and they said they're from tech or something, whatever. They'll say they're from Apple or, from IBM or something like that. And we're going to try to fix your computer. And then all of a sudden it morphs into this story about how the credit union is like somebody at the credit union is dirty and stealing their money or something. Do you hear that very often?
We have from some of the cases that have happened like this where they've come in and they say, oh, they told me that the staff is in on it. So if you guys asked questions, to say it's none of your business, or I'm remodeling my home, or I'm just putting money away at home. And so that way, we don't have the opportunity to have them second guess that decision they're making of sending
Right.
the money out. So that is common. They are using that tactic, and a lot of people do fall for it because, it's their livelihood, and they've spent
Yeah.
a lot of time saving this money. So
Yeah.
we do hear that.
Yeah, so they're using fear. Like with Lily, she had $9,000 and she's pretty worried about that $9,000. So So it sounds like they had her empty her entire account and then lie about what she was taking it out for. So let me ask you this. Why do you ask that question? It seems like when you go in and take out any larger amount of cash, somebody's asking, what are you doing with that money?
Yeah. Well, our goal is this is our number one goal, is to protect our members from getting spoofed or sending money to a fraudster and then being at a loss. And so that's our number one concern is if it's an abnormal pattern for our member. We know our members pretty well. We know what's common and what's not. And so our number one key is to protect them and their funds. And by asking these questions, sometimes if they're honest with us and we're able to talk some sense into them and say, hey, that's not legit, or we see this scam often. And so we're able to prevent them from sending money out, hard-earned money. Because $9,000 is, some people, that's a lifetime that it takes them to save this. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you think? Is she going to, if she had sent that money out, would she have been able to get it back?
No.
Yeah.
Once it's gone, it's gone. And, luckily she was one of a few, I'm sure, because like I said, we have had others who have mailed it, and unfortunately they're not able to recoup it.
Yeah. So, I was doing a little bit of research on this because I was curious about mailing cash. So apparently it's legal to mail cash through USPS, like through the Postal Service, and you can actually get insurance for your cash, but you have to declare what it is, of course. But then I also saw that like UPS, FedEx, all those, they have restrictions. Like it's against their policy to mail cash through them. So that's, I'm guessing, why they were having her disguise it and wrap it up in tinfoil and all this stuff. Yeah. And it kind of seems like at that point, it was like she thought she was talking to somebody at the credit union that was telling her, like, we're from corporate or something, and telling her, take this cash out, but don't tell our own employees what it is, and then mail it to us. And And something that caught my attention is she immediately knew something was off the minute that she said, I got that message on the tablet, and she ignored that. Yeah, and she hung up.
So, and then they called back, and then instead of her still questioning it, she moved forward with it. And so if your gut tells you something's off, if it feels off, in the event they did say, hey, the staff, in this case, I'm in Alturas, the Alturas staff is in on this, call another branch, walk to, drive to our next nearest branch. Yeah. There's other ways to prevent that instead of just following what they're telling her to do.
So, I don't work in the frontline operations side, but I'm guessing there's a whole lot of policies, procedures, rules, and preventative action that we have that guards against employees being the ones to do this kind of stuff, right? So, okay. So, what advice do you have if somebody gets this same kind of a thing, notification on their iPad? What should people be doing?
So what I normally tell members is immediately stop and think before you do anything. If it feels off, if it doesn't seem normal, you don't recognize the number, call us, come to the branch. Don't just go with your first instinct to do what they're telling you. A lot of times you'll get calls and they promise things, and if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. You just have to stop and process it through. Yeah. And usually you can tell when it's not real or when it is.
Yeah. So sometimes it's too good to be true. Sometimes it's fear, right? Where you're going to lose all your money because somebody's stealing it at the credit union or something. Yeah. Yeah. Wild, right? Yeah. Yeah. So, maybe a general rule of thumb, don't mail cash.
Yes. Never mail cash, please. You will not get it back.
Right.
Once it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So she got really lucky that it didn't go out. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Lucky for her, we're in a small town, and
things were just moving a little bit slower, and she got lucky. And then apparently the person at the UPS store also was a good person and gave her box back. Yeah. Even though she had already dropped it off. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, any other thoughts about how this went down?
My other suggestion would be when staff asks, what are you withdrawing this large sum of money? Don't lie. If they're telling you to lie about it, that should be a red flag to you.
Yeah.
We don't ask to be nosy, to know what you're doing with your funds. We ask to, in hopes to prevent something like this to happening to our members.
Yeah.
But we work very hard to, have a personal relationship, and we know what's common and what's not. And so our goal is to protect them and their funds. And so when we ask those questions, be honest, a lot of times it will save you from losing money or getting caught up in a scam somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Well, good. Well, thank you so much
Thank you.
for being a guest on this podcast. And if you were watching or listening, we hope that you caught on to some of those red flags too, and you'll know what to watch out for.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thanks
for
so
having
much,
me.
Kathy. Yeah.
True Fraud, Real Stories, Expert Advice, brought to you by Pacific Crest Federal Credit Union. If you suspect you are a victim of fraud, we encourage you to reach out to your local law enforcement and your financial institution. Pacific Crest is federally insured by the NCUA.